Hello, welcome back to our Vision Farm. I am going to do a little update on our fruit orchard. I haven't done an update ever since the plants have come out of dormancy and have flowered. I've even seen some little honeyberries on the honeyberry plants. I worked this week on tilling our entire garden area over there. We have garlic planted in there and some carrots. And I've seen some sunflower seeds showing up also. Hopefully it's not too windy. It's super windy, but it's a beautiful day today here in Maine. I've seen some sunflower seeds showing up from seeds that I guess have fallen from last season. But our honeyberry orchard is doing great. I have counted over 200 plants in this orchard, and it's 6 rows. Each row is a different variety. As you can see, we've been mulching with grass clippings. We do this every single year, and look how beautiful and big the plants have gotten depending on the variety. Some of them are big and tall, some of them are a little bit lower to the ground, but we've been mulching with grass clippings. I've been hand pulling weeds around the base of each plant. And these first 3 rows are the ones we planted the first year. I believe it was 2024. So that's about the size those are. And then here's another row over here. We have not mulched over here yet, but you can see how the plants are doing. They go all the way to the far end, almost to where the trees are over there. So the newest ones, well, that was part of the new row. That last one I just showed you. Then this is the second one. So these we planted last year. And you can see how they look. A little bit smaller, but growing really nice. They've grown a lot since we've planted them. I don't remember the varieties from the top of my head, but I am going to be jotting that down because we're doing showings of our farm and our property, and whoever ends up buying our property, I want to leave them with sort of like a diagram of which row is what, so that they can continue planting varieties that kind of pollinate each other if they want to continue the orchard on that side of the field. But from the top of my head, I cannot remember the 6 varieties we have planted. They've done really good though. In our next property, we will definitely be planting honeyberries again, because they've done great and we haven't really had to do much. We haven't had to fertilize, we haven't had to water, all but maybe 2 times since we've planted these. Once when we first planted them, and then another time last year because we were going through a drought. And those are the only times we've had to water them. I'm not sure how this year will go. We'll just keep an eye on them. If they start looking a little bit dry, then I'll have to hand water them. These have already flowered for the season, and we're in the first week of June. They've already flowered, and I saw a couple of berries on some of them. I'm trying to find which variety it was that had the little berries on them, and I'll show you that. We did harvest some honeyberries last year from some of our plants that we planted the first year. So we harvested a couple handfuls. These won't reach full production yet until I would say year 4 is when some of these varieties reach full production. But we have gotten berries from these even on year 1. Like even before getting them into the ground, they already came with little berries on them from the place we ordered them from. So that was pretty cool. I don't see any there. Alright, here's one. It's super tiny and green, but these are from plants that we planted last year. So like already, for them to even be producing anything is pretty cool. There's another little itty bitty berry there. They're very hard to see right now. They're not big enough yet. The other fruit trees we planted on this property are these Carmine Jewel cherry trees. These have literally blown my mind on how big they have gotten. I don't know if you saw when we planted these, but these were just like little twigs with like 3 or 4 leaves on them when they first came out of dormancy and we planted them. And right now these reach about like my chest area, and I'm about 5'4". So they've gotten super big, super healthy, and this year they flowered for the first time. Not all of them flowered, but I noticed first time flowers on a couple of these. So that was really exciting to witness them flowering on just year 2. So I didn't expect that to happen. So maybe we will see some sour cherries on these this year. Most likely very little because they weren't like in full bloom or anything, but they did flower this year. Carmine Jewel is a sour cherry variety. They don't get too big. It's like a bush. It's not a huge tree that's going to grow 10 to 12 feet. It stays as a bush size, and they produce these little sour cherries that you would use for pies and jams. Not really for eating fresh like a regular Bing cherry, but they do grow really good in Maine. There's a flower right here. They produce little white flowers. They grow really nice in Maine. They're cold hardy, and I think that's about the only cherry that will grow in Maine is sour varieties. So we picked a really good variety because these have withstood the winter, but also have withstood deer damage. Usually like around fall time, the deer really like these trees for some reason. They'll even like remove the cages off of them to get to the tree, and they eat all the foliage off of them, but the trees seem to just bounce right back. If anything, the deer are doing the pruning for us. They bounce right back and they're healthy. We haven't lost one to deer yet, so that is exciting. So the honeyberries don't get affected by deer at all. The deer don't eat the foliage on those, but even if the cherries do get eaten by deer, they bounce right back, so that's always a good thing. We're definitely planting more of those in our next property. So let's take a quick look at the garden. There's not much going on. I just finished tilling the whole entire thing this week because we had a showing today and they were definitely interested in gardening. So I wanted the garden to look nice and clean and ready. I don't know if we'll be planting anything else in here. I have flower seeds and veggie seeds that could go in there, but I'm not really sure how long it'll take to sell our house, and I don't know if I want to plant a whole bunch of things. We do have some things in pots just for us, but I don't know how much work I want to put into the garden if we're going to be getting out of here soon. This pear tree we planted last year. Same thing with the cherries. It got eaten by the deers last year when we first planted it, but it's doing good. It hasn't got touched by the deers this year yet, and it has not flowered this year. It is a brand new tree, so I don't expect it to produce anything already, but it's coming out nicely. You can see all the fresh new leaves. I did put a cage around it just to kind of help. The wild flowers in the field have also been a really nice surprise. We've picked dandelions, wild violets, clovers, and you can make jellies and teas out of all of those. We've even sold dandelion petals and lilac or violet petals to a local winery because they make wine out of them. Property came with strawberry rhubarb, so that is how those are looking. They look ready to harvest already. Some of them have started flowering, and I've been just ripping the flowers off to allow it to focus on growing the rhubarb instead of the flowers. And here's the kiwi berries. Some of them are still coming out of dormancy, so you can see here the vines. Kiwi berries are definitely the slower growing plant, but then some of them have come out. You can see the leaves. I haven't noticed flowers on these, but I've heard that they take up to 5 years for them to actually start flowering and producing, and you have to plant male and females. We probably won't be growing those in our next property, just because of all of the support that they require. We're going to be sticking to the honeyberries and the sour cherries and possibly something else. I'm not sure yet. These are the raspberries. They look like they're about to start flowering, but not yet. And these bushes will be nice and full with raspberries later on also. I hope you enjoyed seeing the update on all of the things that we've planted on this property, the honeyberry orchard and the cherries. Definitely no regrets on planting those whatsoever, and we plan on doing those on a larger scale in our next property. Kiwi berries would be a fun, unique thing to grow, but for us, like the infrastructure that you need to like really do it commercially is going to be too expensive. They require too much support and too much space. Plus, they're really slow growing. I've liked the success on the honeyberries and the cherries a lot better, because the honeyberries gave us fruit even on the first year, and it's only up from here. The cherries have flowered on year 2, and I imagine they'd start producing fruit like maybe even next year. We'll see a lot more flowers, or whoever buys this property will see a lot more flowers and be able to harvest some fruit. Not sure if they will this year, but that is what everything's looking like as of June 2026. And like I said, we are still doing showings, and we still have our house up on the market, but it's going really good. Everybody who has come has completely fallen in love with the land. So same thing we experienced when we came to see this property for the first time. We absolutely love the house and the old farmhouse charm, but the land is definitely what makes this property. And even with the things that we have started, there's still so much more space for expansion and for different things. There's 9 acres of woods in the back, and it really is a beautiful property. There's so much space in the field for whatever the next family wants to do. We're also excited to find our next property. We want to go bigger, and so we can expand on our farming. This was a really good property to kind of test trial the things that we did test try, which was the honeyberries, cherries, and kiwi berries. So now we can kind of take what we learned from that and plant more of what we enjoyed growing and what we are mostly excited for. And also we're going to be doing some more experimentation on the next property to see if we can find other things that grow here in northern Maine and be able to plant more of it. So there'll definitely be more experimenting, but also lots of expansion on the things that have worked so far here. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you in the next one, and I'll keep you updated on the sale of this property and our next property we end up moving to. I will see you in the next one. Enjoy your weekend.